Hey everyone, welcome back. What if I told you that a single diplomat tried to prevent genocide, election manipulation, and the weaponization of the world's most powerful platform, and was silenced, harassed, and ultimately destroyed for trying? Today we're diving into Careless People, a cautionary tale of power, greed, and lost idealism by Sarah Wynn-Williams. And this isn't just another tech expose. It's a horror story about what happens when unchecked power meets willful ignorance and the devastating human cost of putting profits over people. This is the inside story of Facebook's transformation from connect the world idealism into a machine that enabled genocide in Myanmar, rigged the 2016 election, and built surveillance tools for authoritarian regimes, all while systematically destroying anyone who tried to speak up. On this channel, I break down powerful, eye-opening books like this into clear, actionable insights you can absorb in just 10 to 15 minutes. No filler, no fluff, just the truth that tech giants don't want you to know. So if you're ready to see behind the curtain of Silicon Valley's biggest lies and understand how we got to this moment where a handful of tech billionaires control the flow of information for billions of people, stick around. Let's dive in. Picture this. It's 2009, and a young diplomat from New Zealand sits in the basement of the United Nations, watching lawyers argue over punctuation in a document no one will ever read. Sarah Wynn-Williams is supposed to be saving the oceans, protecting whales, fighting climate change. Instead, she's trapped in bureaucratic hell while the world burns. Then comes her epiphany. Facebook, this scrappy college website, is changing everything. She watches the Christchurch earthquake unfold in real time through Facebook posts, sees her sister, trapped in a collapsing building, reach out through the platform that becomes a digital lifeline when all other infrastructure fails. In that moment, she realizes she's witnessing the birth of something unprecedented, a tool that could genuinely change the world. But here's the thing about revolutionaries. They don't always recognize their own power. Facebook's leaders treat their platform like a clever dorm room project that got out of hand. They have no idea they're holding dynamite. So Sarah does something audacious. She cold calls Facebook and basically says, "You need a diplomat. You're about to reshape global politics and you don't even know it." They think she's crazy. She thinks she's found her calling. When Sarah finally gets inside Facebook in 2011, it's intoxicating. These aren't your grandfather's corporate executives in gray suits. These are 20-something idealists with unlimited budgets and world-changing ambitions. The office walls are covered with graffiti declaring, "Move fast and break things," free food, unlimited resources, and the genuine belief that they're connecting humanity. Mark Zuckerberg hands every new employee a little red book, yes, like Mao's, filled with inspiring quotes about Facebook's mission to make the world more open and connected. The irony will become apparent later. Sarah throws herself into building Facebook's first international relationships. She arranges meetings with prime ministers and presidents. She creates the company's first transparency reports, its first content guidelines. She's crafting the rules for how the world's most powerful communication platform will operate across cultures and governments. But even early on, there are warning signs. When Germany raises concerns about Facebook's surveillance capabilities, remembering their history with the Stasi, Facebook's response is dismissive. When Myanmar blocks the platform after Facebook posts trigger riots, the company shrugs it off as the cost of doing business. The first real crack in Sarah's faith comes with Internet.org, Mark's grandiose plan to bring free internet to the developing world. Picture this. You're a farmer in rural India getting your first taste of the internet. Except it's not really the internet. It's a stripped-down version controlled by Facebook, where you can only access sites Mark Zuckerberg thinks you need. No encryption, no privacy, no security. Just enough connectivity to get you hooked, then upsell you to the real thing. When digital rights groups call this out, Mark's response is telling. Instead of listening, he declares war. He wants enemy lists. He wants to weaponize Facebook's algorithm against critics. He wants Street Fighter tactics. This is when Sarah realizes the boy genius isn't interested in feedback. He's interested in conquest. By 2016, the mask is completely off. Facebook embeds staff directly in Donald Trump's campaign, helping them perfect a new form of political warfare. They teach Trump's team how to micro-target voters with surgical precision, how to suppress Democratic turnout, how to spread misinformation that costs less because it drives more engagement. Here's how it worked. Trump's campaign built a database called Project Alamo with profiles of over 220 million Americans, everything from gun ownership to shopping habits to voting history. Facebook's custom audiences tool matched these profiles to Facebook accounts. Then their look-alike audiences algorithm found people who looked like Trump supporters but weren't committed voters yet. The campaign ran tens of thousands of different ads simultaneously, constantly testing which messages worked best. People likely to respond to "build a wall" got that message. Moms worried about childcare got ads about tax-deductible childcare. The more inflammatory the content, the more engagement it generated and the less it cost to run. They also ran voter suppression campaigns, targeted dark posts that only specific users could see, designed to discourage young women, Bernie Sanders supporters, and black voters from showing up. In an election decided by razor-thin margins, these tactics mattered. When Trump wins, Mark's first instinct isn't reflection, it's deflection. He calls the idea that Facebook influenced the election pretty crazy. Meanwhile, his lieutenants are literally celebrating the sweet, sweet coin they made from political chaos. But the real horror is what's happening in Myanmar. Facebook becomes the primary internet for 60 million people transitioning from military dictatorship to democracy. Instead of hiring hundreds of moderators like they do for China, Facebook assigns exactly 2 part-time contractors who don't even work in the right time zone. The result? Military-backed accounts spread viral lies about Muslim minorities. Extremist monks use Facebook to organize ethnic cleansing. When Myanmar's military launches what the UN calls genocide, Facebook's algorithm ensures the hate speech reaches maximum audiences. Sarah and her small team desperately try to get resources for Myanmar. They're blocked at every turn by executives who literally ask, "Do we have to go into this?" when she explains that people are dying. Here's what should haunt us all. Facebook couldn't moderate content in Myanmar because they'd never bothered to make their platform work in the Burmese language. The reporting button displayed as corrupted characters. Community guidelines were never translated. When hate speech was reported, it sat in a queue for days because only 2 contractors in Dublin could read it. At least 10,000 people were murdered. Over 700,000 fled the country. Rape was used as a weapon of war. Children were killed in front of their parents. The UN investigators concluded that Facebook played a determining role in the genocide. The military had set up a massive troll operation, at least 700 people, to spread misinformation and hate. They took over verified accounts of pop stars and military heroes, using them to pump out lies that led directly to mass murder. When confronted about this later, Facebook's response was essentially, "Oops, we found some bad accounts and took them down." Perhaps the most chilling revelation is Facebook's secret effort to enter China. Not the China of pro-democracy activists or human rights advocates. The China of surveillance, censorship, and mass imprisonment. Mark personally oversees the development of software that would help the Chinese Communist Party spy on its own citizens. Facebook agrees to store Chinese user data in China, where the government can access it at will. They build facial recognition tools specifically designed for authoritarian control. The pitch to China is explicit. Facebook will help promote safe and secure social order through surveillance. They promise to remove any content the government doesn't like and turn over user data on demand. They even offer to help China identify and arrest dissidents. Internal documents reveal the casual evil of these negotiations. One memo notes that Facebook employees would be responsible for user data responses that could lead to death, torture, and incarceration. Their solution isn't to reconsider the project, it's to edit the document to remove those words. When Congress later asks Mark about China, he lies repeatedly. He claims no decisions have been made, despite years of detailed planning and hundreds of engineers building censorship tools. The company had mock congressional hearings where executives practiced evading questions about their collaboration with authoritarian regimes. As Sarah watches Facebook enable genocide, rig elections, and build surveillance tools for dictators, she tries to speak up internally. The response is swift and brutal. Her boss, Joel Kaplan, a Republican operative who attended Brett Kavanaugh's confirmation hearing, begins a campaign of harassment. He forces her to work during maternity leave while she's literally fighting for her life after a near-fatal childbirth complication. When she reports this, Facebook opens an investigation of her. The harassment escalates. Joel takes their video meetings from his bed, asks inappropriate questions about her body, and makes sexually explicit comments during work calls. When Sarah finally complains, she's told it's a communication issue and her fault for not being clear enough about her boundaries. The final straw comes when Joel sexually assaults her at a company party, grinding against her on the dance floor in front of dozens of colleagues. When she tries to transfer away from him, Facebook blocks the move. When she formally complains, they fire her within weeks and walk her out with security guards. This is Sheryl Sandberg's Facebook, remember? The company run by the woman who wrote Lean In and lectures the world about women's empowerment. Behind closed doors, Sandberg demands that female employees share her bed on private jets and asks subordinates to spend company money on lingerie for her personal use. The story ends not with justice, but with a chilling glimpse of what comes next. Mark abandons his presidential ambitions, but doubles down on everything else. He builds the metaverse, essentially a new digital frontier he can control from the ground up. He open sources AI models that could give authoritarian regimes unprecedented power. Joel Kaplan remains at Meta, more powerful than ever, throwing celebration parties for Supreme Court justices accused of sexual assault. Sheryl Sandberg leaves after reports of using company resources for personal projects, but faces no real consequences. And Mark? He's moved on from apologies entirely. He's commissioning Roman statues of his wife and planning cage matches with Elon Musk, while his platform continues to undermine democracy worldwide. This isn't just a story about one company or one industry. It's a story about what happens when we give unchecked power to people who fundamentally don't understand, or don't care about, the consequences of their actions. Sarah Wynn-Williams believed she could change Facebook from the inside. She spent 7 years trying to inject conscience into a machine designed to extract profit from human attention and division. Her failure isn't a personal failing, it's a systemic one. The most haunting line in her story comes near the end. It really didn't have to be this way. At every crucial juncture, Facebook's leaders could have chosen differently. They could have prioritized safety over growth, truth over engagement, human welfare over shareholder value. They chose differently every single time. Today, as we grapple with AI systems that could reshape warfare, surveillance, and human society itself, we're seeing the same playbook. The same move fast and break things mentality. The same belief that innovation justifies any consequence. But now the stakes are even higher. These aren't just social media platforms that can influence elections or enable genocide. These are systems that could automate warfare, make life or death decisions about human lives, and potentially escape human control entirely. The question isn't whether we can trust tech companies to regulate themselves. Sarah's story provides a definitive answer: we can't. Let's wrap up with the key takeaways. Tech giants like Facebook operate with a fundamental disconnect between their utopian rhetoric and devastating real-world consequences. The move fast and break things mentality isn't just about disrupting markets. It's about breaking democracies, enabling genocides, and weaponizing human psychology for profit. What makes this particularly dangerous is how these companies cloak authoritarian collaboration and surveillance capitalism in the language of connection and progress. The most chilling truth is that at every crucial decision point, these platforms chose profit over human welfare, growth over safety, and engagement over truth. This isn't accidental, it's systemic, and it's happening again with AI systems that could have even more catastrophic consequences. And that's the essence of Careless People, a cautionary tale of power, greed, and lost idealism. If you found this breakdown eye-opening, don't forget to like this video, leave a comment with your thoughts on big tech's accountability, and subscribe for more narrated book summaries that expose the truth behind the headlines.